Hey, welcome back. So today we are going to be talking about the day before plastic surgery. So we have already done 2 videos. If you have not seen our other videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel. That way you get notified when we upload, and give the video a thumbs up, as well as ring ding-a-ling the bell. That way you don't miss any of our tips. We do upload 4 times here a week on the channel. So we've already talked about the cost of plastic surgery. We've talked about just some things that have to do with weight loss and plastic surgery. And today I want to talk about the day before, or the day before and the day of plastic surgery. I get so many questions. Like when I start talking to customers or clients or even girlfriends about this, and they realize that I'm willing to share, there are so many questions that I get. Why? Because a lot of times we don't even know. Like I can remember going to my plastic surgeon's office and I was like, so what's something really surprising that you see? And the nurses and the doctors all said that more women than you know get boob jobs, tummy tucks, and they lie about it. They lie about it. They lie about the scar. On a regular boob job, you don't even normally see the scar. On your tummy tuck, they lie and say it was a hernia. And I was like, what? Because I was like the person that was like, you know what? I've worked really freaking hard. Like I've worked so hard. And if I'm going to get a boob job and a tummy tuck and a thigh lift and whatever, I don't even care. Like any mom is gonna see my triple D boobs that are perky after breastfeeding several kids and know they're fake. Like there's no way you're a mom that is breastfed and you have perky full boobs. It just, no. It's kind of like unicorns. They don't exist for the most part. There might be an exception somewhere, but most of us moms, that's not our story. And if you're not a mom, I'm not trying to scare you, I promise. It is totally worth it to breastfeed. It really is. It's one of the sweetest things. I'm so glad that I had the ability to be able to do that with our first 2 kids. And so anyway, people are always like, what was surgery like? What was the day before like? And all of that. And so, kind of up until surgery, so we had went in for our consultation with the doctor. We kind of made our plan. We picked out the kind of implant we wanted. It's like kind of shopping for purses. You're like, ooh, I like this one. I like the way it feels. Ooh, they have sizers. We had already done the rice test at home. There's a test where you can put rice, different like ounces of rice, different grams of rice into a stocking and stick it in your boob. So like I would stick different things of rice into my bra and walk around the house, try on different shirts, and yeah. I recently found those stockings. They were anyway, I was like, what is this? I'm like, oh, those are my at-home sizers. Anyway, it's important to do. You want to know. So one of the things is the anesthesiologist is going to call you a couple days beforehand, because when you get, it depends on where you're going. Some doctor's offices use a hospital. Our doctor's office that we went to in South Carolina, called Upstate Plastic Surgery, we're in Georgia. So we were 3.5 hours from our surgeon. And so a couple days beforehand, the anesthesiologist calls me, and they had an operating room. Like there was the plastic surgeon's office where they did all their consultations, their Botox, their whatevers. In the basement, they had a spa, which we'll talk about. They did massages, they did post-op massages, which we're going to talk about when we talk about the recovery and the healing. It's going to be in that video. But then on the whole other suite towards the back of the building was the OR, or the operating room where they actually did the surgeries. And so when you get there, an anesthesiologist will meet you there. So he's going to call you ahead of time, go over how much you weigh, because they want to be able to, if you have any issues with anesthesiology, if you've ever been put completely under, if you have any allergies to any of that stuff. And so, which is a really important thing. I did not know this, but my husband has a medical background, and he's like, babe, being put all the way under is a big deal. And I was like, really? I just thought it was to get rid of the pain, while they're cutting on you. But anyway, and so we went down, since we were 3.5 hours away, we went over it's over from Georgia to South Carolina. We went over the day before. So my mom was gonna watch both of our kids, and we went over. We checked into a hotel, and I did some research on hotels, and my husband and I both work from home, and we booked the Staybridge Suites. And there was a couple reasons why we chose to stay in a hotel. First and foremost, we had kids, and you can't lift them, they can't climb on you, you're in pain, you're out of it. And I did not think it would be very fair to them or me to come home and be like, hi, don't touch me. Hi, mommy's here, but mommy's not here. And I had met so many people who had complications with their not healing in certain spots because they overdid it. They were cleaning or they were cooking. And my thought process was, if we're in a hotel, there's a maid to clean. And we were at the Staybridge Suites. They offered dinner 5 nights a week. Even though I had a tiny kitchen, I wasn't going to be cooking. And it was really helping to ensure that the investment that we were making into these surgeries I was going to heal the very best that I could. So we ended up checking in the night before surgery. We got all checked in. We went grocery shopping ahead of time. And so like we went, anything that I was gonna want to eat or drink during, my recovery process. In our recovery video, I talk about, some of the things as far as what I had to eat, what I had to snack on, what my appetite was like, what it wasn't like, all of that kind of stuff. But we went grocery shopping the day before just so we didn't have to do any of that. One of the things also at your pre-op appointment, which is a couple weeks before, your pre-op appointment is a couple weeks before your actual surgery. They will give you, most surgeons will do this. And if they don't, you can request it. But this is pretty standard procedure. They will give you your prescriptions ahead of time. So like the night before, I had to put like a patch. It was an anti-nausea something. The morning of, there was another pill I had to take. But we had all of the pain pills at the hotel waiting. So that way when I got out of surgery and we went back to the hotel, we weren't having to swing by the pharmacy. We weren't having to go pick anything up. All the pain pills were there, and my husband knew what to do with them. I knew what to do with them. They were all like labeled out and laid out and all of that. Another thing that I had done is I had rented a chair. And so because I had 3 surgeries done. I had 2 different surgeries. Let me rewind here. In the first surgery, I had 3 procedures. I had a boob lift, I had implants, and a tummy tuck. So they lifted them up, they stuck an implant in, and they did a tummy tuck. All right, that was my first surgery. My second surgery was a thigh lift, and that was the only thing on that surgery. But the first surgery, anytime you're going to get a tummy tuck, one of the things that from the research I had done, people say is that like you can't really get up. And so I'm like, well, let me get a lift chair, because a lift chair is like a recliner. It reclines, and then you press a button and it basically stands you up. You go from sitting to standing. And so that day before, I had contacted a company who rented out lift chairs, and I got this big fat like leather recliner that reclined all the way back, and then it would go from reclining and it would just literally lift you up, so I didn't have to use my stomach muscles. And that lift chair, with the delivery, because they delivered it right to the hotel. How cool. They delivered it and picked it up. With the delivery included, it was $165 for a 2-week rental, basically. Isn't that crazy? $165 for a 2-week rental. They delivered it and picked it up. O to the M to the G. It was worth its weight in gold. I talk about that more in the recovery video, but that chair was delivered the day before. Since we're talking about the day before and the day of, things that I did to help my surgery go really smooth. Because here's what I'm going to tell you. I've heard all kinds of horror stories about surgery, and I have a couple OGs moments, but most of it was really easy peasy, easy breezy, a piece of cake. 98% of it. 98% of it. So, and then we went out to dinner that night. So, and you have to stop eating by a certain time because you're going to have surgery in the morning. But it was just a good time for my husband and I to spend some time together. The the day before surgery, have sex. If you're married, get it on with your husband or wife if you're a man going in. Because here's the thing, after plastic surgery, like, first off, you're going to be out of it for a little while, but you're restricted, especially if you're having a tummy tuck, boob job, all of that. Like most plastic surgeries, you're going to be sexually restricted, kind of like having a kid. And so that night, like, it was like, hey, honey, like, we both knew, like, it was going down. So, you know, don't, like, I wasn't going to let the overwhelmment and the busyness of the surgery coming to distract me from, you know, doing that with my husband. So if you're married, make sure the day before you have some of that special talking time. All the pain meds out and ready to go. That morning, I woke up and I showered, because they tell you can't shower for a couple days after surgery. So I made sure to wake up, shower. I washed myself with like the Cetaphil soap. It was a non-dye, non-fragrance. You can't put any lotions on, any perfumes, any makeup, anything. So you wash yourself with like Cetaphil bar soap. You get out of the shower, you dry yourself off, no hair products. So I like blew dry my hair and that was it. No makeup, out the door we went. When you're going into surgery, you want to wear loose fitting clothing. So I wore like sweatpants, and then I wore like a loose fitting like zip up jacket with just a bra underneath. Because when you leave to go home, you're actually going to be in their garments. And so you'll just shimmy on your pants. I put on my zip up coat and out. That's what I wore to surgery. I have a picture of me going to surgery. There was one I took on the way to surgery, and then there's one I took on the way home from surgery. I look a little bit different. The one on the way to surgery, I'm like, ee! The one on the way home from surgery, I'm like, out of it. Out of it. All right. Wear comfy clothes. I just talked about that. So for us, we showed up to, we were the first one in the morning. So I think we got there at like 6 in the morning or something like that. And we pulled up. Of course, we were early. I'm always early. I'm not a late girl. I am early or on time to everything. So we pull in, the entire office is closed. We're there before the doctors, before the nurses, and we're just sitting. Like, I'm like, you can't be like, I can't be late to my plastic surgery appointment. Because all I kept thinking about is if I'm late and they're rushing, because you know, like when you ever show up late to a massage and then they're rushing because they're behind, I'm like, no, they're not going to rush. I'm going to be early. So anyway, we showed up, we go in, and here's the cool thing. Most all your paperwork and everything's already been done. You've already paid, you've already signed all your forms, you already have your prescriptions. So when we got there, they sent me in a room, I took all my clothes off and I put on like this gown, this hospital gown. And they hook you, then they come out and they hook you up to the IV. When they hook you up, you sit in this chair, first of all. You sit in this chair and they hook up a heater. It's like you have like a little tube on the outside of your gown, and they hook up this tube to your gown. And it blows hot air inside of your gown, because evidently when you go under anesthesia, whatever it's called. When you have that done, it can make you really cold. And so they hook you up to this heater, and so you have like these fuzzy socks on with grippers. You have your robe, and the robe's all blowing up because you have all this hot air coming in. Like, oh, it felt so good. So then they come out, they hook you up to the IV, and you talk to the anesthesiologist. He just goes over a couple things. You're basically sitting there. They're all running around, prepping the OR, getting everything ready, and I'm just sitting there talking to my husband. We're like, we're really doing this. Like, we're really doing this. Like, I'm not going to have mom boobs anymore. And my husband at that point, he was like, babe, if you want to back out of this, that is okay. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We're not backing out of nothing, pal. Like, let's go. And so then all of a sudden, like, okay, we'll walk you back. And they come and they walk you back. And the last thing I remember is I'm laying on the table. And well, the doctor comes out too. Check this out. I almost forgot about this. The doctor comes out. And he's like, okay, so because when you do a breast lift, they remove your air, they cut around your areola and they remove it. Well, since I was overweight, my areola had stretched out. So sometimes, you know, and people have all different sizes of areolas. It just depends on, you know, how God made yours. And mine had stretched from being overweight. And so basically he comes out with these like little cookie cutters. They like literally look like metal cookie cutters. It's like about this, it's like this long, and it's like a perfectly round thingamabobber. And he's like, so for your areola, what size? And he's got like 3 of them. And we're both like, wait, what? What are you talking about? He's like, when we remove the areola and they basically reconstruct your breast when you're doing a lift, he's like, what size? And of course, my husband's like, the biggest one. So anyway, and it was the funniest thing because when you've never been through it, like you have no idea. So it definitely caught us off guard. So they take us back. Let me just make sure I'm not, yeah, I'm not missing anything. Make sure I'm not missing anything. So they lay you on the table and like, I can remember telling the doctor because I've always been bigger breasted and I didn't want my boobs to be smaller. I just wanted them to be filled back up. So I had told the doctor in our pre-op appointment that the smallest I wanted to be was a double D and the biggest I wanted to be was a triple D. So he had some playroom to land me right in between there. But if he was like, you know, if I was talking to God and I'm like, you know, hey God, this is what I want, it would have been a 32 triple D. And so I'm going in and I'm like, Doc, if I come out and I'm smaller than a double D, we're gonna rumble. As I'm like going out of it, he's like, okay, Carmen. And so I literally, that's the last thing I remember saying. I at that point, I was out of it. I woke up from surgery and I was not even aware of this. But the first thing I did was I looked underneath at the girls. And in that surgery, of course, they did, you know, the tummy tuck, the implant, and the lift. And I look under, and he had said in our pre-op appointment that he thought it was going to take about 650 cc's to get me to a triple D. And that was the max with my body frame that they could do on that first surgery. And so I'm like, I'm looking at them, I'm like, are they big? And I was like, how many cc's? And evidently, either the nurse or my husband said they only had to do 600. And I was like, what? Are they big enough? And of course, they assured me that yes, he only had to use that to get you to the goal. You're perfect. And here was the cool thing, like to this day, I'm a 32 triple D. So he nailed it on the size that I had requested, which is amazing because it's not perfect, right? You're dealing with a human and humans have, there's an error factor there. So even if it's a really good surgeon, you're not always going to get exactly what you wanted. And it doesn't necessarily make it a bad surgeon. He just, that day did a really good job. And so I woke up, one of the things I did is I shivered a lot. So coming out of anesthesia, you can shiver. They got me extra blankets. And you really only, depending on you, every case is a little bit different. They make sure that you're coming out of the anesthesia really well. And then that they put this garment on you. If you're getting a tummy tuck in a breast job or in a boob job, they have this garment. It almost looks like Spanx. So it's got straps and it comes right up underneath your boobs. And then it's like super tight and it snaps like a bra clip and then it zips and it goes down to the middle of your thigh. And then it's got a hole in the crotch so you can pee and poop out of it. You don't have to take it off. It literally stays on you. And that's to help with the swelling because you're gonna swell. In our recovery video, I talk about the swelling, because people told me, but they didn't tell me about the swelling. And so you're wearing this garment and then they have you in this special bra that you wear. And when you come out of it, you have some drains. So there's drains depending on what you have done. There's anywhere from 1 to 3 drains, and that's for the fluid blood to drain out. When you leave there, you also have a catheter in. So you have these things, they have this belt on you. They've given you a pain pump. So you're leaving there with a pain pump, and that's kind of like in a fanny pack, and it's attached around your waist. And then attached to your fanny pack of pain, and you have like a little pumper. Attached to your fanny pack are these little bulbs that fill up, or the blood, any drainage can go into. And then you also have a little pee bag because, you know, you just had surgery. And so like before I was still out of it. When I was like, they get you dressed over your garments. My husband, they helped load me into the car. We got back to the hotel. We had requested a hotel room on the first floor by the back door. And my husband, like I walked out to the car. I gimped slowly. I walked slowly. And after a tummy tuck, you can't stand completely up because they pulled you so tight that you're kind of like hunched over. And they told us that was completely normal. When we got back to the hotel, I got out of the car. My husband came around, helped me. We walked very slowly to the hotel room. He helped park me into my recliner, and that's kind of where I lived for quite a while. And so, yeah. Oh, it's called a Foley catheter. The other day I was asking my husband, I said, hey, what's that thing called? The P-tube in the bag? He's like, are you really calling it a P-tube? I said, well, what's it called? He said a catheter. It's called a Foley catheter, but just say catheter. Foley's the brand. And I was like, okay, well, everybody, when I say the P-tube in the bag, will completely know what I'm talking about. So if you know what I'm talking about, give me a heart in the comments. If you heard P-tube and bag, if you knew. If you're like, no, Carmen, I didn't know what a P-tube in a bag was. Catheter, say catheter. Then you think like my husband does. So that's awesome. So anyway, and then we went to the doctor on that. I think the 2 days after surgery, we went to the doctor, and that's when they removed the catheter. That's when they removed the drains, all of that. The whole first day I got home, it was just liquids. I didn't eat anything. I had some superfood shakes that I put into my body just to make sure that I had a lot of nutrition. They were really dense nutrition. So when I say superfood, they had over 70 different superfoods, vitamins, and minerals packed into them. And I could drink them out of a straw because I didn't have an appetite. Like really, I had an appetite to sleep, to see the back of my eyelids, and that was it. And then I had this drink called Hydrate, which was helping me stay hydrated because I wanted to help my body heal. And your body is gonna have a hard time healing if you're not keeping it nourished with the right things. Yeah, but I did start eating on the second day. So it was just that first day that I came home from surgery that I was mostly out of it. And I can remember, and we're going to talk about pain. We talk about pain in the recovery and the healing one, the video, because this is the whole series. If you haven't been watching them, there's 2 videos before this one, and then there's a couple after this one. And so anyway, yeah, so make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, and thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one.